Imagine standing at the helm of the world's most powerful empire, leading Rome, the epicenter of civilization, where your every decision shapes the destiny of millions. Yet, despite wielding unmatched power, wealth, and influence, you carry a different kind of weight. A private struggle that has nothing to do with armies or politics. It's the battle within your own mind, the relentless pursuit of self-control, emotional mastery, and a virtuous character. This was precisely the life Marcus Aurelius lived. Not only remembered as a revered Roman emperor, but also admired as one of history's most profound thinkers, Marcus was truly a philosopher in power, a man who valued wisdom and virtue above everything else. While many rulers indulged in extravagance and chased fleeting pleasures, Marcus Aurelius chose a radically different path. He lived simply, with discipline and constant self-reflection. He didn't see life as a quest for endless pleasure, but as an ongoing test of character, an opportunity to grow better, stronger, and wiser every single day. But here's what sets Marcus Aurelius and his writings apart. His famous work, Meditations, was never meant for public eyes. These writings were his own private thoughts, personal notes he made to himself on how to remain strong in tough times, how to control his emotions, and how to live a life full of integrity. They were not written to impress anyone or to appear wise and knowledgeable. Instead, they were authentic, raw, and honest, a dialogue he had with himself to stay grounded amidst the chaos of ruling an empire. Yet, centuries later, these private reflections became one of humanity's greatest guides to wisdom, strength, resilience, and personal growth. Hey everyone, I'm Bix, and welcome back to Bix Book Summary, the place where we explore life-changing books in a way that's engaging, practical, and easy to apply. Today, we're diving into Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, a masterpiece that has guided countless people toward emotional strength, self-mastery, and finding peace amid life's uncertainties. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by stress, anxiety, uncertainty, or even the fear of failure, this ancient book holds powerful wisdom for you. In today's video, you'll discover how to master your emotions and respond to life's twists with wisdom. Why letting go of things beyond your control is the true path to inner peace. How to face life's toughest challenges with resilience and unwavering courage. Why discipline and regular self-reflection are essential to a meaningful life. How to detach from external approval and live authentically on your own terms. Meditations is far more than just a book. It's truly a manual for living well. It teaches you how to think clearly, how to stay grounded amid turmoil, and how to find serenity regardless of what happens around you. And it all begins with one of the most profound Stoic principles Marcus Aurelius shares. That true peace comes from focusing only on what you can control and gracefully letting go of everything else. Life is unpredictable. No matter how carefully we plan, how much effort we put in, or how desperately we want things to unfold our way, there will always be moments that surprise us, factors we simply cannot control. You can start your day with positivity and purpose, only to be blindsided by an unexpected obstacle, an unkind word, or an event that feels profoundly unfair. But what if I told you that the suffering you experience doesn't actually arise from these external circumstances, but from the way you choose to respond to them? This profound truth is at the heart of Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. Throughout his reflections, Marcus constantly reminds himself and us of something we often overlook. Life is divided into two clear categories: things within our control and things outside of it. He tells us the secret to inner peace lies in embracing this distinction, actively choosing to focus solely on what we can influence, while gracefully letting go of the rest. Marcus states it plainly. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Think about how much of our lives we spend worrying and obsessing over circumstances completely beyond our influence. When we get caught in a traffic jam, we grip the steering wheel tighter, feeling the heat rise as if anger alone could clear the congestion. When someone says something rude, we replay their words endlessly, allowing a single moment to ruin an entire day. We lose ourselves in anxiety over an uncertain future, falsely believing that worry grants us some form of control. Yet none of this stress changes reality. Our frustration won't open a blocked road. Replaying hurtful comments won't erase them. Worrying about the future doesn't guarantee it will unfold in our favor. Life moves at its own pace, indifferent to our wishes. The only power we truly possess is the power to decide how we react. Marcus Aurelius understood this principle better than almost anyone. As the Emperor of Rome, his life was marked by relentless stress and complexity, betrayal, warfare, political chaos, and personal tragedy. These challenges could have easily overwhelmed him, leaving him bitter, resentful, and cynical. Instead, he trained his mind to confront every event with clarity and acceptance, focusing exclusively on his response. If a situation was beyond his control, he refused to allow it to disturb his inner peace. He didn't waste precious energy lamenting or complaining about what he couldn't influence. Instead, he accepted these events as realities of life, acting with courage and wisdom wherever he could. To Marcus, every difficulty became a training ground for patience, resilience, and character. Picture yourself standing in the heart of a fierce storm. The wind roars around you, rain falls in torrents, lightning illuminates the dark sky, and thunder shakes the earth beneath you. In such a moment, you have two choices. You could yell angrily at the storm, demanding that nature bend to your will. Or you could recognize that the storm is beyond your control, calmly seek shelter, and accept the circumstances as they are, adapting patiently to what you cannot change. Most people instinctively choose the first path. They resist reality, wishing desperately for circumstances to be different, wasting energy in anger and frustration. But the storm ignores their protests. The wise person, however, chooses the second path. They accept reality without resistance and use their energy for actions within their control, finding safety, remaining composed, and waiting patiently until the storm eventually passes. Life is filled with storms. Some are small, a brief inconvenience, a sharp criticism, a disappointing setback. Others are enormous, deep loss, rejection, profound failure, or relentless uncertainty. But no matter how powerful the storm, we always have the same two choices: resist and suffer, or accept and adapt. One choice leads to misery, frustration, and bitterness. The other offers clarity, resilience, and peace. Marcus Aurelius teaches us that control over the external world is mostly an illusion. We cannot dictate what unfolds around us, but we always maintain control over our response. If a situation is outside our control, it is not worth our emotional turmoil. If a situation falls within our sphere of influence, then our responsibility is simply to act with intention and wisdom, and then release our attachment to outcomes. This principle forms the bedrock of Stoicism, a mindset that recognizes what we can influence and freely lets go of what we cannot. Adopting this perspective liberates us from unnecessary anxiety, prevents the drain of wasted energy, and frees us from self-inflicted emotional pain. But embracing this insight intellectually is only the beginning. The true test emerges when life actually challenges us, when hardships, disappointments, and setbacks arise. How do we learn to consistently meet these trials with resilience rather than despair? How do the Stoics cultivate the unshakable inner strength required to endure any adversity without losing themselves? That is precisely what we'll explore next. Life has a way of surprising us with obstacles exactly when we think everything is going according to plan. You spend months carefully crafting a project, only for it to collapse before it ever takes off. A relationship you invested your heart and soul into suddenly ends, leaving you feeling lost and confused. A sudden failure knocks the wind out of your confidence, making you doubt your abilities and question if you can even move forward. It's easy in these moments to feel as if life itself is conspiring against you, that all your efforts have amounted to nothing. But what if every challenge, every setback, every difficulty was not something to dread, but a hidden opportunity waiting to be discovered? This profound insight is at the core of Marcus Aurelius's philosophy and meditations. Marcus saw obstacles not as barriers blocking success, but as essential components of success itself. He explains it succinctly and powerfully. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. In other words, when life places a roadblock before you, it's not telling you to stop. It's encouraging you to grow, adapt, and discover a new path. The very challenge that seems to be holding you back may actually become the catalyst for transformation, empowering you to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient than you ever thought possible. But how can we train ourselves to view difficulties from this empowering perspective? How do we shift our mindset from frustration and despair to seeing opportunity hidden within setbacks? Marcus Aurelius offers a simple yet profound shift in thinking. Instead of complaining, "Why is this happening to me?" he suggests asking, "How can I use this?" Imagine yourself climbing a steep, challenging mountain. Halfway up, you come across a massive boulder blocking your path. You could become frustrated, curse your misfortune, turn around, and abandon your climb. Or you could choose to use that same boulder as a stepping stone, transforming the obstacle into the very thing that helps you climb higher than ever before. This is precisely the Stoic approach to life's challenges. Every difficulty contains the potential to become an advantage, if only you have the courage and wisdom to see it that way. Consider your experiences. Failure forces you to reassess your strategies and become wiser. Rejection teaches you to rely on internal validation rather than external approval. Struggle builds strength, patience, and resilience that ease alone could never provide. Often, the very things we label as setbacks are the ones that contain the most valuable lessons we need. Marcus Aurelius himself practiced this philosophy tirelessly. As emperor, his reign was filled with war, betrayal, political turmoil, and personal tragedies. Yet he never wasted time complaining or blaming circumstances. Instead, Marcus saw each hardship as a powerful test of character, a chance to cultivate patience, courage, and virtue. Where others saw obstacles, Marcus Aurelius saw invitations to rise and become a better person. Think back to your own life. The moments that truly shaped who you are today, those transformative experiences that made you stronger, wiser, or more compassionate, likely arose during times of struggle, not times of ease. Yet most people never recognize the hidden gifts within their difficulties. They push against hardship, lament their misfortunes, and mistakenly view obstacles as unfair punishments instead of powerful opportunities. Marcus Aurelius teaches us that true empowerment comes from shifting our perspective. Instead of saying, "This isn't fair," we can say, "This is an opportunity to become better." Rather than believing, "I don't know if I can handle this," we can remind ourselves, "This is my moment to demonstrate strength." Instead of feeling stuck and helpless, we can ask, "How can I transform this challenge into my advantage?" When you train yourself to see life this way, obstacles become far less daunting. You stop fearing setbacks because you understand that ultimately no experience is wasted. Each difficulty becomes a stepping stone toward growth, clarity, and true resilience. However, merely adopting this mindset isn't enough. To truly embody it, you must cultivate one of Stoicism's foundational virtues: discipline. It's not sufficient just to see obstacles differently. You must also develop the unwavering discipline to face them with deliberate action, courage, and persistence. And it's exactly this disciplined, intentional approach, how Stoics take disciplined action and maintain steady focus even in the face of hardship, that we'll explore together next. It's easy to have good intentions. We all envision ourselves becoming stronger, wiser, and more disciplined. We promise ourselves we'll wake up earlier, work harder, avoid distractions, exercise regularly, and live with purpose. But when the critical moment arrives, when it's time to push through discomfort, most of us cave into excuses and seek comfort instead. Marcus Aurelius had every reason to succumb to this temptation. As the emperor of Rome, he was the most powerful man in the world, surrounded by endless luxuries, distractions, and opportunities to indulge himself. Yet Marcus chose a radically different path. He lived with the discipline of a seasoned soldier, the calm focus of a philosopher, and the unshakable self-control of a monk. Every morning, he reminded himself, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, 'I am rising to do the work of a human being.'" This simple yet profound reminder encapsulates the essence of Stoicism, acting according to principles rather than fleeting emotions. Most people let their emotions control their actions. When they feel motivated, they push themselves. When they feel tired, they rest. When they're afraid, they retreat from challenges. But Stoicism teaches that true strength comes from acting rightly, regardless of how you feel in the moment. Think honestly about your own life. How many workouts have you skipped because you didn't feel like it? How often have you avoided tasks because they made you uncomfortable or anxious? How frequently have you let distractions win because staying disciplined felt too demanding? Marcus Aurelius recognized a powerful truth. Discipline isn't about forcing yourself to endure misery. Discipline is about liberating yourself from the unpredictable control of momentary feelings and desires. Each time you act from your principles instead of your emotions, you become stronger and more capable. When you feel lazy but choose to push through anyway, you build strength. When fear arises but you choose to face it, you develop courage. When frustration tempts you to complain but you remain patient, you cultivate resilience. Over time, disciplined action becomes increasingly effortless, not because the task itself gets easier, but because your character and resilience grow stronger. Marcus Aurelius understood clearly that discipline isn't merely about productivity. It's about building character. It's about consistency in your values, your actions, and your treatment of others. It's about living with integrity each day, choosing wisdom over impulse, responsibility over comfort. He continuously reminded himself that the greatest opponent we face isn't external. It isn't fate, misfortune, or challenging circumstances. It is our own internal weakness, our tendency to choose the path of least resistance. This internal battle takes place every single day, through countless small choices. In the quiet moments when no one else is watching, that's where discipline is built. Because discipline isn't something you simply summon when you need it. It is something developed through constant practice, unwavering commitment, and by repeatedly choosing what's right over what's easy. However, even with disciplined effort, even with resilience and strength, there's still one critical thing that can disrupt our inner peace: our attachment to external outcomes. Most suffering doesn't arise from events themselves, but from our own expectations, our dependence on validation, and our fear of losing what we've achieved. That's why the Stoics teach one more essential lesson: the importance of detaching from external validation and finding true peace from within. And this powerful insight is exactly what we'll explore next. Life has a way of tricking us into believing that happiness and security can be found in things outside ourselves: success, money, relationships, recognition. We often convince ourselves that if we achieve a certain goal, accumulate enough wealth, or gain approval from others, we'll finally experience lasting peace. Yet the deeper we tie our happiness to external outcomes, the more fragile and vulnerable we become. Marcus Aurelius understood this profoundly. As emperor, he had every external measure of success: power, wealth, admiration. Yet he recognized that all these things were fleeting. He knew the truth, that the world's validation could shift from praise to criticism in a heartbeat. Wealth could vanish overnight, and the people we cherish could leave us unexpectedly. That's why he constantly reminded himself, do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about others, unless it is for some common good. It is a waste of time to be disturbed by their thoughts. In other words, stop worrying about things beyond your control, especially the opinions and judgments of others. Most people spend their lives as prisoners of external validation. They seek constant approval, terrified of criticism. They tie their self-worth to success, deeply afraid of failure. They cling so desperately to their possessions, relationships, and achievements that the mere thought of losing any of them triggers anxiety and suffering. But here is the powerful truth Marcus Aurelius recognized clearly: everything external is temporary. The career you've worked tirelessly for can vanish in an instant. The admiration you receive today can easily become judgment tomorrow. Relationships you cherish deeply can change, evolve, or even end without warning. Marcus teaches us that lasting peace can only come from within. It comes from detaching ourselves from things we cannot control and focusing instead on what we truly can: our own thoughts, actions, and responses. Think of it like holding a handful of sand. If you grip it tightly in an attempt to control it, the grains slip rapidly through your fingers. But if you gently hold it, relaxed and without fear, the sand remains calmly in your palm. Life operates exactly this way. The more tightly you cling to your expectations, the more you suffer. The moment you choose to release your attachment, to control outcomes or needing things to be a specific way, you experience true freedom. But detachment doesn't mean indifference. It doesn't mean you stop caring about life or goals or relationships. Instead, it means caring deeply while recognizing you don't actually own or control any external circumstance. Detachment means giving your absolute best, yet not defining yourself by success or failure. It means loving openly and completely, yet maintaining your sense of self, knowing that loss is always possible. Marcus Aurelius summarizes this wisdom simply: receive without pride, let go without attachment. Enjoy your success, but don't depend on it for happiness. Strive passionately, but don't let failure crush you. Love wholeheartedly, but don't lose yourself in fear of loss. This is the profound power of true detachment, the ability to remain balanced, calm, and steady no matter what life brings your way. When you master this, you stop being a victim of circumstances. You stop riding an emotional roller coaster with every win and loss, every shift of fortune, every fluctuation of praise and criticism. You become truly free. Yet, attaining this level of peace and detachment requires embracing an even deeper reality: the reality of impermanence, the inevitability of change, and the final truth about our own mortality. And that powerful lesson is exactly what we'll explore next. Life is constantly changing. Seasons shift, tides rise and fall, and every morning the sun rises and sets again, without exception. Nothing stays fixed forever. Not success or failure, joy or pain. Yet, despite understanding this intellectually, we often fight against the natural flow of change. We cling desperately to the past, terrified by uncertainty about the future. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself regularly that impermanence is at the very heart of existence. He observed closely how even the most powerful rulers, the richest individuals, and the mightiest empires eventually faded into memory. No matter how important or significant something seemed in the present, time inevitably moved forward, leaving it behind. He wrote these words as a constant reminder: soon you will have forgotten all things, and soon all things will have forgotten you. At first glance, this might seem like a depressing truth. But when you truly reflect on it, it becomes one of the most liberating realizations you can embrace. Accepting impermanence means letting go of the illusion that things should remain as they are. It means releasing the need to resist the natural cycles of life. It means no longer wasting your precious energy fighting against something that is simply part of being human. Consider how much of our suffering stems from our desire for permanence. We hold tightly to relationships long after they've run their course, afraid of loneliness. We resist changes in our careers or personal lives, fearing uncertainty. We struggle to preserve our youth, fighting an impossible battle against aging itself. But Marcus Aurelius teaches that the wise path lies not in resisting change, but in gracefully accepting it as an essential, unavoidable aspect of life itself. When you fully accept the truth of impermanence, something remarkable happens. You start valuing the present moment far more deeply. You begin to see each interaction, every relationship, every experience as a precious temporary gift. Rather than resisting change, you start welcoming it as a chance to learn, to evolve, and to grow. When something good inevitably comes to an end, rather than being consumed by grief, you feel gratitude for having experienced it at all. When loss arrives, instead of collapsing into despair, you recognize it as part of the natural cycle: birth, growth, decline, and renewal. This mindset fundamentally transforms the way you approach life. You stop fearing failure, because you understand that success and failure are both fleeting states, neither of which defines your true worth. You stop clinging desperately to people or situations, because you realize everything naturally evolves and changes, including you. You stop living in terror of death, because you acknowledge it as a natural, necessary part of life, not something to avoid or dread. Marcus Aurelius often meditated on the reality of death, not in a morbid sense, but as a profound method to fully appreciate life. He recognized clearly that the awareness of our limited time is what gives life true meaning and urgency. Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly. In other words, stop wasting precious moments. Stop postponing happiness, waiting for some imagined perfect circumstance. Realize you don't have endless tomorrows. Your life is happening right now. So choose to live fully, mindfully, and purposefully in each moment you have. When you genuinely accept impermanence, change no longer scares you. Instead, you learn to flow naturally with life, welcoming each moment exactly as it comes and gracefully letting it go when its time has passed. And as you master this powerful skill, you begin focusing on something even deeper: on how to live a genuinely meaningful life. You begin asking yourself how you can create something that aligns with your deepest values and leaves behind a lasting legacy that truly matters. And this profound realization, how to live with true purpose and create lasting meaning, is precisely what we'll explore next. Many people drift through life, moving restlessly from one goal to another, endlessly chasing success, pleasure, and validation without ever pausing to reflect. Why am I doing this? What truly matters to me? What kind of life do I genuinely want to live? Marcus Aurelius believed that living without a clear sense of purpose was not truly living at all. It was simply existing. He frequently reminded himself that our time on earth is limited, that each day could easily be our last, and that ultimately the only meaningful measure of our lives is how intentionally and authentically we choose to live each moment. He expressed this clearly when he wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." At its core, this is the essence of Stoicism. Purpose isn't something you passively discover. It's something you actively embody. You don't need to wait around for inspiration, absolute clarity, or perfect timing. Instead, you simply need to act, right now, with integrity and commitment, aligning every choice with your deepest values. Marcus Aurelius believed deeply that a genuinely meaningful life is grounded in three powerful principles: virtue, duty, and contribution. The first principle, virtue. To Marcus, success wasn't about wealth, power, or external validation. It was about character. He believed our highest calling was to continually strive to become the best version of ourselves, embodying wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline. Every day, Marcus challenged himself by asking, what is the right thing to do? How can I maintain integrity in this moment? How can I respond wisely rather than impulsively? Virtue for him wasn't expressed through grand dramatic gestures, but through consistent small choices. Choosing honesty, even when lying is easier, staying composed amid stress and adversity, showing compassion and respect to others, even those who might not seem to deserve it. Marcus Aurelius knew that each decision shapes your character, and ultimately, your character is the only lasting thing you truly possess. The second principle, duty. As emperor, Marcus Aurelius never saw his position as a privilege or an opportunity for personal gain. Instead, he understood it as a profound responsibility to serve others, to act with wisdom, fairness, and selflessness. And he deeply believed that every single person, no matter their role in life, has a duty to family, community, and humanity at large. Every day, Marcus asked himself honestly, am I doing my part? Am I fulfilling my responsibilities with sincerity and dedication? Am I contributing something meaningful to the world? Because true purpose, Marcus realized, isn't about what life gives to you. It's about what you give to others. The third principle, contribution. Marcus understood that despite his incredible power, he was just one small piece in the greater puzzle of life, a single thread woven into the larger fabric of existence. He believed wholeheartedly that true fulfillment is found not in self-centered accomplishments, but in leaving the world better than you found it. He reminded himself frequently that eventually, every one of us will disappear. Our achievements, possessions, and even our names will fade into the quiet pages of history. The only enduring thing we leave behind is the positive impact we've had on the lives around us. This is the true meaning of living with purpose, to shift your focus away from chasing happiness for its own sake, and instead, strive to become a person worth remembering, not for what you owned or the titles you held, but for how genuinely you lived, how you treated others, and how you improved the world around you. Most people waste their entire lives waiting for purpose to reveal itself. They convince themselves they'll begin living meaningfully someday, when they have more time, when they've achieved certain goals, when life is easier or more comfortable. But Marcus Aurelius understood the truth profoundly. Someday is nothing more than a comforting illusion. The only moment you genuinely have is this one, right now. He powerfully captured this urgency when he wrote, "Do not act as if you had 10,000 years to live. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good. Don't wait for circumstances to be perfect. Don't postpone becoming the person you know you are capable of being. Start now. Live intentionally. Act purposefully. Because in the end, your life won't be measured by its length, but by the depth of your character, the strength of your actions, and the meaningful legacy you leave behind. And this brings us to the final and most profound lesson Marcus Aurelius shares in Meditations: how to courageously and gracefully face the ultimate reality of life, embracing our own mortality with wisdom, peace, and acceptance. This powerful insight is precisely what we'll explore next. Death is the one truth of life that none of us can escape. It doesn't discriminate. It visits the rich and the poor, the mighty and the humble, the celebrated and the forgotten alike. Yet, despite its absolute inevitability, most people spend their entire lives avoiding its reality, fearing it, pretending it won't come for them, and losing themselves in distractions that mask their mortality. But Marcus Aurelius believed something profoundly different: that to truly live with purpose, courage, and clarity, you must first accept and even embrace the reality of death. Marcus often reflected deeply on his own mortality, not to frighten himself, but to sharpen his focus, strengthen his values, and clarify what truly mattered. He wrote powerfully, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." For Marcus, death wasn't something to fear. It was the ultimate reminder that each moment is precious and irreplaceable. Accepting this truth empowers you to stop wasting time, to stop postponing happiness, and to stop hesitating in pursuing the things that matter most to you. Yet, most people live as if they have endless tomorrows. They defer their dreams, their happiness, their love, their passions, always convinced that they'll have time later. But later is not guaranteed to any of us. Marcus Aurelius saw life like a book. Its value is not measured by length, but by meaning. A short book filled with wisdom, purpose, and truth is infinitely more valuable than a long one filled with empty pages and wasted words. Each day, Marcus asked himself honestly, if today were my last day, would I be proud of how I've lived? Would I leave this world having genuinely contributed, having fulfilled my purpose? This reflection was not meant to inspire fear. It was meant to inspire clarity, action, and urgency, to eliminate wasted moments, meaningless arguments, trivial distractions, and pursuits that hold no lasting significance. It allowed him to focus exclusively on what truly matters: kindness, wisdom, courage, integrity, and love. But Marcus's reflections on death went even deeper. He also realized that eventually, everyone, no matter how important, will be forgotten. Think about it. Even the most powerful emperors, the bravest warriors, the most influential philosophers, and the wealthiest individuals eventually fade into obscurity. The cities they built crumble, their victories are forgotten, their wealth evaporates, and their names quietly disappear from memory. Marcus wrote insightfully, "Alexander the Great and his mule driver both died, and the same thing happened to both. No matter how grand or modest your life, in the end, everyone returns to dust." Time moves relentlessly forward, indifferent to fame, power, or wealth. And so Marcus questioned himself, asking, why waste life chasing things that will ultimately vanish? That's why Marcus Aurelius dedicated himself not to fame, not to wealth, not to power, but solely to virtue, wisdom, and strength of character, qualities that truly matter and remain meaningful, regardless of how much time passes. When you genuinely understand this, something inside you shifts. You stop seeking validation from the outside world. You stop fearing failure or worrying endlessly about the opinions of others. Because in the end, external approval means nothing. What truly matters is how authentically you lived, how deeply you loved, and how genuinely you treated others. Marcus Aurelius saw death not as an enemy, but as a powerful teacher, a constant reminder that every single breath, every single moment is a priceless gift. He did not fear death because he knew he'd lived fully. He had honored his values, fulfilled his duties, contributed meaningfully, and left behind a legacy worth remembering. And this is the final, most profound lesson Marcus Aurelius shares in Meditations. You don't get to decide how long you live, but you absolutely decide how well you live. So the ultimate question isn't, how much time do I have? Instead, it's, what will I do with the precious time I have left? And with this reflection, we wrap up our journey through Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, one of the most profound, empowering, and timeless guides ever written to resilience, wisdom, strength, and inner peace. If there's one powerful takeaway from Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, it's this: your greatest strength is always within you. You cannot control the world around you. You cannot dictate what happens in your life, but you always have full authority over your thoughts, your choices, and your responses. Marcus Aurelius teaches us that true peace, real strength, and lasting happiness never come from trying to control external circumstances. Instead, these virtues emerge only from mastering ourselves. Always remember to focus exclusively on what you genuinely control: your mindset, your actions, your attitude toward life. Learn to see every obstacle not as a setback, but as a stepping stone toward growth. Live each day with integrity, discipline, and a clear sense of purpose. Detach yourself from external validation, finding security and peace in who you are, not in how others perceive you. Accept the reality of change, knowing that everything, good and bad, is temporary, and thus each moment is precious. And most importantly, live your life so fully, so authentically, that if today were your last day, you'd leave this world with a heart free of regret. Because ultimately, the only thing you truly possess, the only thing that remains yours forever, is your character. Everything else fades: possessions, wealth, status. But the kindness you showed, the strength you built, and the impact you left behind, these endure beyond your lifetime. So here's my personal challenge to you. Take just one powerful lesson from Marcus Aurelius today and actively apply it to your life. Perhaps it's staying calm during a stressful situation, choosing discipline over immediate comfort, or courageously letting go of something outside your control. Remember, small, intentional choices made consistently create incredible transformations over time. And if this message inspired you or resonated with your own journey, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Bix Book Summary. If you'd like to support the channel and deepen your understanding of Stoicism, check out the link in the description to pick up your own copy of Meditations. Your support genuinely means the world to me. Until next time, stay strong, stay wise, and never stop growing.